Okay, we're live. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. If I just want to tell if anybody here hasn't been here before that is watching this now or later on, I'm Deann. And today I have with me Michelle from Astrological Tarot. Thank you for being here. And I met her. I've been watching her recently, and I was seeing her on. Weren't you on with Scott? You were on with Scott Allen a few times. And anyway, I've seen her on with different people, and I've been watching all the YouTube people. I thought I watched all the tarot YouTube people, and then I saw her, and I'm like, oh, who is this girl? I need to have this girl on my show. I've never seen her before. And I tell you what, she is amazing. She is. I wrote down some of the few things not few, many things she does. I'm just going to read you a few of these things, and you'll have to help me pronounce a couple things, because there was a couple things I'm like, oh, I don't know how to pronounce that. But this is Michelle. She has a channel called Astrological Tarot. She's a tarot reader, a certified tarot reader. She does Western and Vedic astrology. I had never heard of Vedic, so she'll kind of explain to us what that is. And she's a graduate of the Camilla Academy of Vedic Sciences. Where was that at?
It's all online.
Oh,
and
it's
Camilla
all
Sutton, she's the I guess head of the British Association for Vedic Astrologers. She does the Sedona Astrology Conference every year, and she is also she's the Camilla Sutton Vedic Academy. She's like the Vedic astrologer for the West, so and the world, I should say. She's international. She's pretty amazing. So.
Well, and then it said it was BAVA, British Association for Vedic Astrologers. She's a student of yoga. Now these are all, I can't even do yoga, but it's Vedanta. And
Srinivasan, yeah.
Srinivasan yoga and ACHRYA. How do you pronounce that?
Acharya?
Acharya, yes.
That means teacher, yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. Mm-hmm. And she's a former director of the Savannah Yoga.
Oh, the former director would be Sivanand. The Srinivasan is the former director, and I am his student.
So, okay. Yeah. And she uses tarot and Vedic astrology to provide keys to questions regarding career, relationship, family, finances, past lives, and more. And she also has a show on her channel. I believe you still do it 4 Pacific every week. And she does live readings. So if you want to go check her out there, she has that. And so you were explaining this to me, and it's, and I'm sure that a lot of people here on the channel won't know what exactly is Vedic astrology.
Okay. So Vedic astrology is one of the oldest forms of astrology. It's based off of the Vedic sciences. So the way I like to describe it is, have you ever asked yourself the question, why am I here? You're here because you're in what you're called Earth School. So we're all students, and we return here until we graduate, and we go on to the next phase of our soul's development. So while we're here, we're learning knowledge while in these bodies, and we've already signed up for classes, so we can take lessons. So we continue this process until we can't come to this plane anymore. And astrology, especially Vedic astrology, is a measure of our spiritual progress thus far. So like a report card, I can look at your strengths, I can look at your weaknesses, I can predict when certain types of lessons or blessings are coming your way. The Vedic astrology can also reveal your inherited physical, mental, emotional, spiritual tendencies. And these tendencies are what are conditioning your present environment. So through effort, we can offset some of these tendencies through what are called Vedic remedies, and they're very specific. But in general, this type of astrology reveals your degree of wealth, your health, your fame, your rank, your position, misfortune, illness, any success or adversity that comes your way, children, relationships. It's really in depth, and there's multiple charts in Vedic astrology. So you've got your birth charts, and then you've got what's called your Navamsha, which is your dharmic chart, which is the kinds of lessons and blessings you can expect. It's kind of the fruit of the charts. You have your D10, which is your career chart, and that shows you what particular professions that you would be good at. Then you've got the lunar tithis and the karanas and the pramchanga, which helps predict events, You've got the shad ball, which is kind of like a karmic report card. And it tells you like what planets that you're working on and what those planets represents. And anyway, there's a lot that goes into it, but yeah.
It's just the fact that you can hold all of that in your brain. I am impressed. I
Well,
am
my husband actually asked me, he was like, you never forget a birthday. It's like you never forget a date. And I always wondered that about myself ever since I was a little girl. It's like I never forgot dates or times. And I think it was just then I looked at um my past lives in my chart. And when I was taking classes from Camilla, she goes, oh, Michelle's just remembering this stuff. She's done this and studied this in past lives, which is why it's like a samskara. It's something that I just keep going toward. So it's kind of like if you love being a mom, it's like you're probably going to be a mom in your next birth. It's kind of like that. Yeah.
because I'm thinking, how does she remember all of this? I know there was you might be too young to remember, there was a show called Taxi. It was a comedy show. And there was the female on there. I can't think of what her name was on the show, but she actually had a photographic memory. And she could remember, you could give her any date in history, in her lifetime, any date. And she could tell you what she was doing exactly on that date, what she was wearing,
Wow.
what she ate, it just is amazing, that somebody can do that. And for you to remember all this now, do you know Western and the Vedic? You know both?
I do. And I think the actress was Mary Lou Henner was the actress. And she played Elaine Nardot on Taxi.
There was
So.
somebody, Susan said, I'm watching a cool Korean show about someone in her 19th life and she remembers them all.
Oh, good to see you, Susan. That's awesome. I love Korean TV.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I get tired. I watch the same old things after you've seen so many shows. It's like they're so predictable. You know what they're going to do and say. It's kind of cool to watch other movies from other countries where you
Oh,
can
yeah.
just a little bit different and the culture is a little bit different. And I don't mind the captions or anything. I love watching them. Now you said you did. Oh, I wanted to tell everybody. Let me just say hi to people in the chat here real quick.
Oh, yeah. You have a huge
Started.
audience.
Well, let's see here. We got Rose Blue. Hi, Rose Blue, and Buddy Marshall. He's a new member of mine. He just joined as a member. Sherry Ross. I've known her since I was 9. We went to grade school together. And let's see here. Who else we got here? Sunny, Valeria, Arlene Forney. Hi, Arlene. And there was somebody here. Oh, hi, Nancy. Nancy Vasquez. She's another one of my members. Tarot Your Way. Hi. Murata Kellers. False Tea Tarot. My Michelle. And let's see. Tarot Your Way. Yeah, we do. We got Linda Bishop's here. Rose Blue said the sun opposite Pluto today. What's that about? I'll put that in the star and see. Do you know about that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's just stop there for here now. What is that about? Sun opposite of Pluto today.
Okay, so basically what the sun is in our charts is it is our ego. It's our outward personality. Okay. So Pluto is life and death. It's transformation. Let me get my
I'm a Scorpio. Isn't that one
here.
of my planets, Pluto?
It is Scorpio, and Scorpio is linked to Pluto. So if you look at Pluto, and I'll show you guys the card. This is karma cards. I love these because they're such great little teaching tools. So here's Pluto, the need for control of, obsessions, power struggles. Okay. On the other side, it's resurrections, getting to the heart of, doing or die. It's like this life and death kind of energy, right? It's big transformative stuff. And yeah, he rules Scorpio, and Scorpio is all about the purification to resurrect, secrets, power, hidden powers, the extraordinary power of prayer, mantras, doing those control. It's about control, to control or be controlled. So basically what this particular synastry is what we call it does is that change and transformation is coming. Especially if you, and it's pretty constant if you have this in your chart. So if, like, let's say Pluto is opposite Sun in your chart, and it's in, let's say, your 7th house, you're going to struggle a lot with interpersonal relationships. because there's a lot of internal battles going on, maybe some self-sabotage, destructive processes that Pluto is trying to kind of like chisel out of you. You know, he's bringing failure in order to bring it forth resurrection and change. So transformation is needed to perfect yourself, or some creation you see as expressing your identity. So it's very much in line with, like, if you are dealing with mistrust, suspicion, conflicts, aggressiveness, self-destructive things like, you know, addictions, like we have a big opiate crisis in the United States. Pluto is basically trying to, the image that my guides give me for Pluto is that he's kind of like one of those cat systems, and he gets right into the soil and he just scrapes everything clean. So like, let's say we have issues with radioactivity in some of the soil and asbestos and things like that, in certain areas that are getting developed out here. And so this would be like taking a cat, like a truck, and coming through and just hauling off all of that waste. And it's from it's from past lives. It's from this life. It's like an old pattern that's not serving you anymore. It's very ego driven.
Okay.
So you can expect some triggers and things like that to come out, battle of the egos, things like that. But what Pluto is trying to do is kind of resurrect and unearth some of that tamas, that darkness out of us, if that makes any sense.
Okay, yeah. All right. So Pluto then is that like a birth with Scorpio, is that like the death and rebirth kind of?
Yeah, he can bring like crises with your self-esteem, with relationships, with events. I mean, and people with this, they can have self-destructive character traits like addiction, spying, stubbornness. And in relationships, if this is like in your seventh house, for example, instead of your first house, you can be the subject of like manipulation or jealousy or domination or spying, stuff like that. Events, because it's in the sky right now, could be like appliance or car theft, violence, destruction of your possessions due to a natural disaster, anything that is kind of disruptive, if that makes any sense.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody, if you want to put political questions, you can put them down. Do you want to do political today, or do you want to do personal? You want to do a little bit of both?
I can do whatever your audience wants.
Okay.
So I am totally open to what you guys want from me, okay?
Here. I've got somebody I wanted to put in here to tell. Who is it? Oh, here she is. This is my Michelle says, I'm new to this channel I saw Deann on Linda G. So I just wanted to tell my Michelle, welcome. I'm happy you're here. I'm glad that you've seen me on Linda G. I really enjoyed being, she is the type of person you forget that you're even doing a show. It's like having a cup of coffee with a friend, with a girlfriend. I really enjoyed it. And so if you guys want to type in capital letters, if you have a question on politics, or if you have a question on anything else personal, you can put that on there. I did write down some things I wanted to talk about. But you said you did, before we start, did you say you had done Trump's chart?
Yeah, I went ahead and pulled up a few of his charts, and we can talk a little bit about them if you just want to see how a chart is read. And I'm going to compare him to another chart that I found very similar to his, which I thought was interesting. So.
Yeah, I would love to see that,
Okay.
What you got on him, because there's so much going on right now. Did you hear Fani Willis is she's coming out to indict Trump in August?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I know that they set the trial date for, I think, May 24th of next year for the trial date. So
yep.
Fingers crossed it goes somewhere.
Yep. She's charging him with racketeering as well. So he's got even though they switched that from December to May, Judge Cannon, if she does it again, they're going to take her off. It's going to look very biased. But then now he's got to worry about Fani in August. And then he's got Jack Smith is about to indict him soon for the January 6th. So he's just boom, boom, boom. Everything's hitting him at once. So I'm curious what the charts say about him.
Okay. Well, I'll
questions first.
I have his charts here. If you want to just talk a little bit about that, and then we can get to questions, that'll give people more time. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this chart. This is going to cover the screen, so I'm just letting everybody know. This is Donald Trump's Rashi chart. Okay, this is his main birth chart. Now, if you see down here, you see there's an M-O and a K-E together. And then up here, you see an R-A and an S-U. The R-A, that's the north node. The S-U is the sun. K-E is the south node. And the moon is the M-O, okay? When Rahu is conjunct sun and moon is conjunct Ketu like this, that indicates an eclipse. So Donald Trump was born during a full lunar eclipse. Okay. Now, his Mercury is one of the strongest elements in his chart. That's what gives him his power. That's that ME up in here, and it's in Gemini, his own sign. So he does have powerful words and speech, and but he was born during an eclipse. And then if you go to this little AS down here, the little AS, that's his ascendant, Mars, that which can bring a lot of rage, a lot of anger, a lot of tension in that area.
He's got that.
He does have that for sure. And then the second house, this is the house of money. That's Jupiter. That's big money. Okay. And then you've got the fourth house. You've got that Moon Ketu conjunction. Ketu is detachment. He was detached from his mother at the age of 2. So that indicates this right here. And it was due to mental illness. Being born during an eclipse, both parents can be, they can struggle with mental illness. That's one way that it can be put out there. It's because what the nodes do is they mess with the mind. They mess with the ego. And they cause a lot of, how do I say this? Unsettled mind, things like that. So, yeah. And then his ascendant is in what's called Maga. And I'll show you what that card looks like. Maga Nakshatra is the same as like King Louis XIV, Madonna, big egos. Okay.
He's got that too.
Yes, he does. It's ruled by Ketu, and it's a throne. So that's how he's, yeah. So he was born into a rich family. He's been enabled for a long time. You know, you could use this. It's the star of power. And what Maga's ascendants need to learn is they need to share their wealth with the collective. Because if they don't, in their next birth, they're going to have to pay it all back. Bill comes due. So even though he thinks he's getting away with all of this stuff, he's not, because he's going to spend multiple lifetimes having to pay it back if he especially if he continues doing this. But they, let's see. Yeah, if you could see here, that's the description on the side. Power, status, ancestors. That's where we made his money. It was an ancestral thing. Ambition, pride, vanity, and royalty. Okay. So yeah, so that's Maga. This guy's up on his throne and he's being king and he's doing what he wants. But it will come at a price later. So that's his ascendant. His moon is in Jyeshta. That's this star here. Okay, this is his mind. And if you look at the description here, superiority, fame, virtuous honor, thieves, leaders, occult, and arrogance. Now, every nakshatra, which is a constellation, has a shadow side and a positive side. He's clearly the shadowy elements because he was born during an eclipse. And what eclipses do is they shadow the sun and the moon. So he's literally like being encased by a dark, shadowy entity.
I can believe that.
Because that's what eclipses do. So that's something that he has to kind of work through and learn from, because the thing that Jyeshtas have to learn to do is this: they can be very hard, they can be sharp, they can be dreadful and active, but they can also, if they get their need for material wealth out of the way, they can amass great spiritual wealth. But you have to let go of the material. So,
I don't think he can let go of the material.
That's the eclipse energy. So basically, these are various nakshatras that he's under. And as you can see here, moon is in Jyeshta, right? And then you've got Ketu in Jyeshta. You've got sun in Mrigasira. And then you've got Rahu in Mrigasira. That's the eclipse energy. Okay. That's what makes him cuckoo. Is what I'm saying. He's not he does not see things realistically because he's got an eclipse on him. Okay. It also indicates parents that aren't really seeing things well either. And his mother was taken away from him and did go to a mental asylum. If you've read Mary Trump's book, yeah, it's really good. And then if you go over to his D9, this is his dharmic chart. Look at, we've got that Sun Rahu together and Ketu Moon. It followed him right into his marriage. So he cannot escape this. Okay. And then you look at his D10 here, and there they are again. They're together. That's why eclipses are so destructive, because they follow you into all areas of your life and they create like this shadow effect. And in his case, you know, both parents were affected, the sun and the moon. And then if you look at his shad ball, I thought this is interesting. This is the karmic report card, right? What is the weakest planet? Saturn, 0.7. Anything under, that's at the very bottom here at the right. You see this
Okay.
0.7. Anything under a 1 is considered to be below average, meaning they're not operating at all, like, well, in this area. So it would be like if you got a report card back for your son or your daughter and it didn't even register as an F. Like an F would be 1. So he has no idea of how to serve the collective or serve others or be a servant. But his sun and his moon are both 1.8. So he's got a massive ego. and that's how he gets through life. So, but Mercury's 1.3. That's not low, but it's also one of the lower planets, which is his speech. Now, so this is his, I'm going to show you the Rasi again. This is his main birth chart. This is how he landed here on Earth. This is his personality. Okay. You notice that the moon here is in Jyeshtha opposite this Rahu sun. All right. This is an eclipse and it's in Jyeshtha and it's a really dark energy. Who else has this? This is Ted Bundy's chart. He's a new moon eclipse. So you notice the moon and the sun are together with Ketu, and then Rahu's across the chart. This is Ted Bundy. Same moon, same type of eclipse, but it's a new moon eclipse. And Donald Trump is a full moon eclipse. So what's the difference between the two men? New moons are more secretive. Full moons are in your face when it comes to their agenda.
And Trump's a new moon, the in your face.
Full moon is in your face. So he just does it. He's out in the open. He doesn't care. I'm just going to do what I want. Ted Bundy kept it under wraps. He hid it. So that's kind of the difference that I see between the two charts. Same type of eclipse energy. One's a new moon, one's a full moon. But he's just much more extroverted about his criminality than Ted Bundy was. So
when
I
you
thought
talk
that was
about him being born in an eclipse, I was just had a picture in my mind of that day he was staring at the eclipse without any sunglasses. Do you remember that?
And that eclipse was really poignant because it was in what's called Mula Nakshatra. And there were multiple planets involved in that eclipse. That was the one I'm talking about is end of December of 2019. And that's when we were like, this eclipse and the way that Ketu is moving, if this is the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020, this could end his presidential career, because Ketu would be going directly over his moon by the time the election hit. And Ketu is headless. And so what he does is, as he sweeps through, he removes the ego. It's ruled by Mula. This is Nriti, and it's a form of Kali. And what she does is she goes after, I guess, for lack of a better term, demonic personalities, and she chops their heads off. So it's just power to destroy. And so this was the energy that brought us COVID. We had multiple planets, and my Jyotish guru, Kamala Sutton, she kept coming out with videos, and I kept going to seminars and hearing the same thing from Vedic and Western astrologers. This is going to be a really negative eclipse that we have coming because it's in this energy. And it's going to cause some upheavals. And she was like, it could be fires from climate change. It could be civil unrest. It could be a major pandemic. It could be, and it was all of those things. So this was COVID. But the thing is, what eclipses do is they, every time a planet passes over the eclipse points, it creates an energy, either negative or positive, mostly negative with eclipses. because, you know, he was born during an eclipse. It's kind of a negative energy. Ted Bundy was born during an eclipse. It's kind of a negative energy. So, yeah. And so when a planet went over the eclipse, it activated something negative. And so it was like a fire or a hurricane or the COVID or whatever. But this was when they believe COVID started. It was in 2019.
That is amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing that you can, I mean, everything you were saying there is him. I mean, every single thing you were saying is him. And who, just the fact that you can get all that information about a person's personality. Now, you would think he could consult with astrologers, you know, to find things out, you know, for himself. But I
The
don't think his
problem
ego.
the problem when you have one of the nodes on your moon, and we do have, I mean, I've been in class with people that have either Rahu or Ketu on the moon, or even have had eclipses. Like I had an eclipse happen on my birthday in 2018, and that was an insane year. Uh, but you know, it's a lot of psychological imbalance
Mm-hmm.
because it's making you pay back all of the case. What Ketu does is he's your past life planet. So he's here to basically give you moksha, which is spiritual advancement by letting go of all of the past scarring and bad habits and things like that. Letting go of those egoistic attachments that keep us in the human body so that we can
Mm-hmm.
rise up to different levels of being and living and experiencing source or the divine. Rahu is what we came here for. It's our obsessions, it's our fears, it's what we're really, really like obsessed about. Like he is like Mr. Ambition, so to speak. And so when you get both of those planets on the sun and moon affecting your chart, it's gonna create some crazy energy. Donald Trump is an example of that. Ted Bundy is an example of that. Like the Vegas nightclub, Marvis was going over the eclipse point when the guy came in and shot everybody up. You know, a lot of shootings are actually linked around eclipse season.
Oh, really?
So yes, it's kind of like, um, have you ever worked in a hospital type of setting?
I worked at
And
an eye center with a lot of ophthalmologists, and there was days that I'd go outside and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a full moon. And anybody who works in the medical
mhm,
field or with the public can usually attest that there is something to that. There is something to that because it would
yeah,
be one difficult thing after another, and then you would get people that were just so difficult one after the other, and it would always seem to be on a full moon.
yes. So I worked in memory care facilities, Alzheimer's and dementia, and I also
Mhm.
did in-home care. And every time we had a full moon or an eclipse, it's like, get ready because yeah. I
Well,
remember,
maybe there's a reason why all these horror movies they show the werewolf turning into the werewolf in the full moon, the vampire, the full moon. You know what I mean? You always hear that, you know. So it doesn't Luna mean something about crazy or psych or something. There's something that Luna meant. I had read before.
well,
I
a
think
lunatic is someone who is,
there. That's where lunatic
their moods and
comes
their
from.
behaviors are driven by the moon. And what's
Yeah.
interesting is we're all actually like that. We're all lunatics, but some people feel it a little stronger than others because they're sensitives, right? I actually keep a moon journal and I keep track of, because what we have in Vedic astrology is the moon moves through one nakshatra per day. The first nakshatra is Ashwini and it's in
Mhm.
Aries. And then we go through all 27, 28 if you count Abhijit, and you end at Ravati, which is Pisces. And then you start over again in Ashwini. So there's 27 of them and 28 if you count the it's kind of a special nakshatra and it's in between two of them and it's called
Mhm.
Abhijit, and we keep track of that one because it guarantees victory. That's how Barack Obama won the presidency, by the way. He's got Jupiter in Abhijit. He started Jupiter Mahadasha, won the US presidency. He could not be conquered because of that
What about
energy, that up.
Biden? Have you done his chart at all about
We've
how?
looked at it before. Yeah, we
How
have.
did
I
he
know.
look for the coming election?
Well, I'll have to look into that for
You have to,
sure.
yeah.
But I mean, I did pull some cards for it, and it is going to be a Seven of Swords election. Like lots of thievery, lots of like behind the scenes stuff.
Oh, yeah, because
So,
he needs to win this. He not only wants to, he doesn't want to win this for us. He wants to win
mhm.
this for him. because if he doesn't win, they have so much evidence against him that he knows his lawyers don't have any defense. There is no defense. So his only way of winning is to become president and pardon himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something here, which I wanted to, that this reminded me Ted Bundy-ish. Hold on, I want to see if I can find this. Here we are. Trump revealed, I wrote this down, part of his plan to go full dictator in 2025. Trump
Mm-hmm.
and allies forge a plan to increase the presidential powers in 2025. They have a goal to alter the balance of power by increasing the president's authority over every part of the federal government that he now operates. He wants the final say over everything. He intends to strip employment protections from tens of thousands of career civil servants, making it easier to replace them if they are an obstacle to his agenda. And he plans to scour the intelligence agencies, the State Department, and the defense. He said, first, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will yield that power aggressively. It's like he's modeling himself after Putin, I wrote down. Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Voigt and Mr. McEntee are involved in a project 2025. It's $22 million transition operation that's preparing policies, personnel lists, and transition plans to recommend to any Republican who may win the 2024 election. Let's see. In one of Trump's Ohio speeches, he stated that he wanted to give police 100% absolute immunity and arm them all with military surplus. And that would essentially create a police state. Isn't that something? So he is not hiding it anymore. He is not hiding the fact that he wants to be an authoritarian. And can you imagine if they give police 100% immunity? I mean, look at the stuff they do now.
Yeah.
You know, so that is just telling you this, not to scare you, but to let you guys know that, you know, you have to get out there and vote. And Lena Rodriguez said something, and I agree. If you feel like I can't do anything, if you can get one person maybe that doesn't have a ride to the polls or who is kind of on the fence, if everybody gets one person to go and vote or help them to go vote, you're doubling your vote.
Mm-hmm.
And so if 1,000 people, that would be 2,000, votes. So, but that's a little scary. And that sounds a little Ted Bundy crazy-ish.
It does. And, Trump won the presidency during his Rahu Mahadasha Mars subdasha. And that was, and then he entered Jupiter Mahadasha. What basically what that means is every single this is how we keep track of time in Vedic astrology. It's called the Vimshachari, and it tells us when planets are expressing themselves. So when I say Jupiter Mahadasha, that means Jupiter is driving Trump's car, his Dharma, his car, okay? And then there's a passenger, that's the Bhukti, that's the other planet that's giving directions, and they're influencing the driver. So you have the main planet that's in control, and then you've got another planet that's helping. He entered Jupiter after winning the presidency, right? But Jupiter, how do I say this? It's actually a pretty good planet. I was hoping he was closer to Saturn because, yeah. But he does enter Jupiter Ketu. This is going to be, let's see, October 23rd of 2023. And that's going to activate those nodes again. But it's not Rahu. It's Ketu. So I'm hoping that that will cause a loss. That's my hope. Because if it's not, it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be really, because the Ketu was involved in the eclipse, guys. Ketu's like half of a demon. So what you're doing is you're unleashing this eclipse energy on the United States. So, because that's what's going to be active when he runs again. So it's
half of a demon kind of describes.
Well, that's the nakshatra. Like actually, okay, so in Vedic astrology, there are demons, there are humans, and there are devas. And demons are not like these little horned creatures running around, but they are basically souls that struggle with their desires and how to act and how to be good and do good with other people. Like, for instance, uh, my Mercury is in Ashleisha, which is considered demonic, right? It's the same as George W. Bush.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a Southern Republican Catholic family, and my father controlled my speech until I was able to get old enough to say, no, I'm going to vote the way I want to vote and do things the way that I want to do them. But I had to grow out of that. I couldn't allow this other person to control me anymore. And so the Ashleisha energy transmuted into, because what Ashleshas do is, yes, it's considered a demonic nakshatra,
Mm-hmm.
but it's linked to these snakes and the kundali. So once you get basically past that demonic trait,
Mm-hmm.
you can take on a divine occult knowledge and ascend, if that makes any sense. Like,
Yes.
it's Ashleisha can create really amazing Vedic astrologers. It can, because it's ruled by what's called the Nagas, which rule the underworld, and they the netherworlds are considered hell, but they're basically another place for like occult knowledge and the keepers of occult knowledge. And when I say hell in Vedic term, it's actually gorgeous. It's heaven for the materially inclined. It's just crystals and remedies, and everyone's healthy and everyone gets along. But it's very material and it's less spiritual. So in giving up the material, demons can ascend to human and to deva on this plane if they do the work. You know,
Okay.
humans can ascend to deva, and devas can be teachers of light here, but devas can also descend if they give into more demonic desires and things. So it's kind of a moving ledger on earth, because we're right in between the worlds. So you've got the earth plane, and then you've got the higher realms and the lower realms. And
Uh-huh.
what cracked me up is the lower realms, the nether realms, are what's described in the book of Revelation: gem cities, beautiful lakes as far as the eye. I mean, it's basically the book of Revelations is the netherworlds, and it's like a material heaven. It's in the Siva Purana. It's crazy. That was a big
Oh,
like revelation for me. And there's less beauty in the Deva realms because they don't need as much. They're not attached to the material. They're not attached to their senses the way the demons are. So it's a
okay.
way of thinking about it in terms of detachment from the material and acceptance of the spiritual way of living and being.
Well, when you talk
So,
about him being, we talked about the half demon thing, what it got me to thinking of, he gave a speech one time, and I don't know, you remember the poem about the serpent? You knew I was a snake when
mhm,
that the snake, the woman cared for the snake, and the snake
mhm,
was hurt and did all this, and he told this whole speech about the snake and said,
mhm.
"You knew I was a snake when you took me in," and I always felt that was him. Yes, I felt
So the
like that.
lunar nodes are what cause eclipses, and they're represented by a snake.
Wow.
That's why the north node it's the back. The north and the south nodes are the back of a cobra. That's what they're from. The original sign for the south and the north node is the back of a cobra. So it's kind of like the little. I'll
Well,
show it to
that
you. It's
that
this thing
makes
right
sense
here.
then, that poem for him, you knew I was a snake when you took me in.
Well,
And
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 he
they
was
did.
in Rahu Mahadasha when he gave that speech, and so that was the head of the snake speaking. So,
Wow.
which is the
I
ego.
swear he was talking about himself,
Oh
when he
yeah.
did that. And
When is
and
he
and
not
the
talking
people
about
didn't
himself?
realize he was talking about himself. But that's the first thing I thought is, yeah, he's the snake. And and
Mm,
and that's the thing I couldn't get is everybody knew what kind of person he was before they voted for him, and they voted for him anyway. They had people they were interviewing, and he said, "Well, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I wouldn't lose a vote." And they started interviewing people saying, Trump says he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't lose a vote. Would he lose your vote? And they're like, nope, I'm with him to the end.
there you go.
So there are people that are like him, I think, that are attracted to him, don't you? A
Well, he
lot
has
of
a
these.
really strong Mercury in Gemini, and so that gives him the ability to use his speech to get get a hold of a lot of people. So, like, I like that Lisa says, she goes, he's like a snake charmer. That's kind of what Rahu and Ketu and eclipse energy does. It's a snake. It's like he's using his speech to fog the minds of men and women. And that's also very common when it comes to narcissistic personalities. Like if you have a node on your moon, you can be more prone to that because it can indicate a parent with a narcissistic personality. It can indicate a past or life about a narcissistic personality, or it can indicate so much fear that it creates a sense of narcissism. And so it's not uncommon to see that, especially exhibited in a chart,
Okay,
that
because I've
energy with
met
it.
narcissistic people, and I've often wondered, it's like, well, how come they always seem to get what they want? They always seem to get ahead. And us people that are trying to be good people, nice people, kind people, we struggle. And it may be just because they don't have those I care about other people's feelings. It is all about them. They don't have
Well,
to deal with the guilt of well, I hurt that guy and screwed him over, that's they don't have that guilt like
no.
nicer people would have.
I mean, I'm sure you've told yourself more than once, how does that person sleep at night after doing that? Like,
All the
how do
time.
they live with themselves? And they sleep just fine.
Yeah, it doesn't affect them. Where
Yeah.
I mean, just like Bundy, when he killed those people, he probably slept fine. If you listen to any serial killers, they talk like that, just a matter of fact. Yeah, I killed him. Yeah, I stabbed her 15 times, and then she tried to run away. But they don't have that being
Well,
horrified like
again, that's also the eclipse energy. That's like the nodes being on the moon. That's what kind of causes that. It's like a detachment or an obsession, depending on which node it is. And it creates that type of energy. And this is a soul that either chose to take on this energy or
hmm
that came here to express it so that they can come back and better deal with it. So it's difficult though, but we live in a time which is called the Kali Yuga. And it's the end of the yugas. You have Sat Yuga, which is the golden age, and then you've got the Tretya Yuga and the Drupal Yuga, and then you've got the Kali Yuga, and that's what we're in right now. And it's the time where the demons come out to play. They get temporary preference, and it only gets worse. We're only about 5,000 years into it, and it's over 400,000 years long. So it's going to get worse. And so what we are being called to, in my opinion, as light workers, is to try to penetrate some of the darkness that's coming through, because we have more souls coming up and less souls coming down, if that makes any sense. And
Yes.
so a lot of the demonic realms are coming up and having the human experience. And for them, they're like babies sucking on Gaia. They're like, ooh, food, one. Like I actually just got back from a conference, and there's a famous guru. His name is Guru Dev Sri Ravi Shankar. Sri Ravi Shankar. Always his name's kind of a tongue twister, but he was doing a seminar with people, and he said, if you had 10 days to live, what would you do with those 10 days? And most of the answers were like food related. It was like, I'd have this or I'd have that. That's a very kind of infant-like response. It's like, I'm
Mhm.
going to eat this. It's very temporary. But that's what some people, they're like more demonic personalities. It's like all about the senses. It's about what they can see, what they can touch, what they can hear. It's like a baby and mama. That's kind of their relationship with the earth. And then a human would have more of like a student-based answer, which would be like, well, I would I would try to wrap things up with my family. I would try to do some things for my community. I would do this, I would do that. And Deva would be like, I would sit in meditation and wait for it to come. And I would try to think only of source when the time came and my soul had to leave the body, because then I could return. So there are just different levels of experience here. And Trump is like a baby. So he's just like, me once all. But the thing is, you only get so much of that. And then you've got to pay the bill. It's like you come into the buffet and you can eat all you want, but then there's a price when you leave. And you pay
Yes.
that price in subsequent lifetimes as a student. Like I'm in the student phase in this particular birth. I'm
hmm
not in the baby or infantile stage, and I'm not in the Deva stage.
I feel
I
like I'd be.
married I married a Deva stage guy. And so I'm learning a lot of the stuff from him, and I'm being part of organizations where I can learn from people that are more in that stage, and I can just hang around them and try to absorb some of the that energy. But it's hard because I'm still paying back karma. Like I told you, Saturn's going over my moon, and I told you what I'm paying back, and it's just like, ugh. What did
Well, it
I
makes
do in a
me
past life?
wonder. It
I
makes me
know.
wonder if people, when they die, if they, if they are more in that infant, I want me, I want food, I want stuff. If they stay in the, like you said, they stay then in the lower realm, where the more
They do.
materialistic realm.
That's what they
And
do. They go where their soul vibrates at. And if it vibrates on a really, really high materialistic level, that's where you're gonna go. That's heaven to you. Heaven to a deva is to sit in meditation for an eternity. That's hell to a demon. That's boring. No TV, no like Ferris wheel, no cotton candy.
I
Like,
might be a
nah.
little
Yeah. It's like,
because truly, I always used to imagine what it might be like. I'm like, well, I don't want to just sit on a cloud, There's stuff to do up
that's what
there.
I'm saying. The higher you go, the less there is. So, I mean, even the flowers are more beautiful in the nether region. So it's just in the netherworld. So it's kind
Wow.
of an interesting way of viewing things, but
And
yeah.
I remember that about talking about the emerald, the roads of emeralds and, talking about the crystals. I remember that, but I always thought it was talking about heaven.
It's Patala, Shatala. Yeah, there's Atala. Those are the different realms. There's 7 netherworlds, and they're all like gorgeous. So,
Okay, well, that's interesting. Boy, I got to talk to you one of these days a
well, and
little
if you
more.
think about it, that's what Trump came from, one of those worlds, because he was born in a more of a demonic soul, right? According to
Hmm.
his chart. He's just trying to recreate that realm here. That's why he's got the gold toilets and he's got the jewelry and like the crazy ostentatious hotels that he stays in and the flowers. He's trying to redo where he just came from.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
That is so cool. I never ever thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I thought I'd pull us up a question here,
Sure.
since we've got just so we can answer a few of them. This is Buddy Marshall. He's a new member of mine, and I was curious about this too, Buddy. It said, I heard that Trump dog whistled to his MAGA followers to have a January 6th 2.0 if he's indicted or convicted of any more crimes. Will that happen again? And yeah, Buddy, I heard he said that. He said that it's going to be very bad. It's going to be very bad. Those
Hmm.
and things are going to happen that have never happened before. And it's a threat. It's a dog whistle. He's trying to. If they indict me, you fight for me. You fight for me. And
That's
and
the
that's what
flying
he
monkeys.
wants.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there going to be more? And I feel like he is going to get some of them that are going to do that. Um,
Hmm.
some of there are like you said, the low vibrational, the people that put him up on a pedestal. I've heard him say, I will die for that man. Why, I don't know. But there will
Yeah.
be some, I feel. I feel, though, with what happened at January 6th, when he said he would pardon them and he left the
Mm.
presidency without pardoning them, I feel like a lot of people that are on the fence are going to say, nah, I hope he wins, but I'm not willing to go to jail and leave my family and go through that, because if he don't win, I'm not getting pardoned. I'm spending 20 years, 30 years in prison. So I think that because they're prosecuting these people, and because he did not give them a pardon, I think that's going to make it less likely. I think they're anticipating this too.
Oh, yeah. He's going to hustle, but he's not going to get it. Hmm. Yeah.
And if you get yours first, you go ahead and go.
Okay. Well, it's going to be real bad. if he does actually get the job. I got 10th house. This is his goal. His number one goal is to get the job, because that's going to help him with his legal problems. It's going to help with a lot of stuff. But I did get, this is my codependency card, the 9 of Pentacles reversed. But what this tells me is this is kind of also my hustler card. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes money wise, where he is codependent on a lot of people to kind of like hustle and make this happen. I did get that he would be successful in relieving some of his debts through this methodology, through the campaign. So he's going to recover from some financial loss that he's going through. And he's going to do this by basically stealing it from his followers. And they're his flying monkeys. You know, that's every narcissist has a whole pack of them. And he's got that really strong Mercury. So he can use those. Yeah. That snake charming energy that Lisa brought up. But then, you know, this is kind of, in my opinion, good. There's going to be a lot of delays and frustration for him. I got the Knight of Wands reversed. There's going to be a lot of scattered energy. There's going to be a lot of chaos. And he's going to be his own worst energy when it comes to this project, because he's going to be standing in his own way. Okay. Because he's not going to be listening to the people that are giving him advice. He's going to play small. He doesn't have the foresight necessarily. And he's going to try to cause a major election delay, is what I got from this. But the cards show that, yeah, he's going to actually clear up some debts and do some things in that realm. But, interesting. This just flew out. He's going to be forced to walk away, is what I got. So, yeah, we'll see. So I think that, yeah, he can be convicted, but it's not going to be the outcome that we want to see. It's like, we want to see this guy behind bars, but you know, it's quite possible we're not going to see like it play out the way that we want. So I don't think he's going to be able to successfully win the presidency. But I also don't think we're going to see as much as far as justice goes that we want to see.
Well, I got for the signifier card, I got the Emperor. He wants to be the supreme ruler. He looks at people like Kim Jong-un and Putin and all, you know, people that are Hitler, those type. That's what he wants to be. He wants to be the supreme ruler of the United States. And he is saying these things. I got the Knight of Swords. He wants people to take action. He can say it without saying it. That mob speak. He is trying to get these people to go to action. This is a call for them to rebel. You know, stand up for your beliefs. If you're a patriot, if you want to save our country, you need to take up your sword and you need to fight. I get that these people with the Page of Wands in reverse, they're gullible. These are gullible people that he is dealing with, and he's preying on their fear. He's trying to tell them, you know, be afraid if the Democrats win. They're going to take your country. But he's telling them, he's projecting exactly what he's going to do on the other people. So whatever he chooses the other side of is a confession to him. I do get the 8 of Cups, that he's eventually going to have to walk away. These indictments are going to keep coming. He's going to withdraw. I get him very, very fatigued with this indictment and this indictment and this indictment and this one. I mean, they're coming from all directions. And I got the 7 of Swords in reverse. So he is going to, maybe not to us, but to counsel. When he doesn't win and he sees what he's facing, he's going to kind of come clean, own up, not really but for himself, to see if he can get a better deal, to see if he can get out of this. Yes, he is going to try to take money from his followers from this. He's going to manipulate them with this to be able to get their money. You know, they're not coming after me, they're coming after you. I'm only standing in their way. That's what he keeps saying. And they're gullible and they believe that. So I believe he is going to get some of these people to start violence. they're already planning on it. I've been watching both sides, and the other side, they are already planning on it. They're talking about taking up arms and things like that. But I don't feel like he's not going to win. He's not going to win. It's going to affect his health. His health is going to, and his mental health and his physical health are going to go down. I keep seeing him having a stroke, and having his mental decline. So I feel like he's not going to end up in jail. He's going to end up in a hospital of some kind. But yes, these gullible people are listening to him, and he knows it. But not as many are. It's not going to be as bad. It's going to be bad, but there's the law enforcement knows. We've got the military knows. Biden knows, what he's up to. You think people aren't watching his every move right now? They're watching his every move, his every word. Jack Smith is watching his every word. So I think we're going to be okay. But yeah, that's what he wants. He wants them to do that. Let's see. And let's see here. I want to see, what else do I want? This person said, this was, my sign is Pisces. I love Pisces. My mother was a Pisces. In Western astrology, February 26th. Does this change in Vedic astrology?
Yes. So basically, my sign is in Pisces in Western February 26th. Does it change in Vedic astrology? So it's off by about 15. So how do I say this? Vedic astrology is about 25 degrees different. And the reason for that is it's measured from the point of view of the constellations and not of the sun. Western astrology is also called solar astrology because it's based on the placement of our sun. And the center is the sun, is our solar system. Okay. Vedic astrology is based on the galaxy. So it looks at the constellations as a whole. So you might be a little bit different. So like if you are born on February 26th, Pisces does not kick in until I think it's the 14th or 15th of March. So yeah, it's you'd be an Aquarius.
Okay, let me get that one off of here.
But I find that the nakshatras actually really do fit the personalities of the people at hand. Like, for instance, if you're an Aquarius, you might be, let's see. You could be Purva Bhadrapada, or you could be Shatabishak. Like Shatabishak is, they're healers. Okay, so that's actually also attributed with Pisces. Lots of secrecy. They tend to be a little more reclusive, power of healing, things like that. You could be a Purva Bhadra, or you could be an Uttara. Actually, no, yeah, Purva Bhadra. So that's kind of toward the beginning of, end of Aquarius and beginning of Pisces, or the Vedic calculation. But
well, this one, Sylvia Munoz wants to know, hello, everyone. Will Hunter Biden sue Marjorie Taylor Greene for the pictures? And she wants to know if you could eventually do a Biden astrological chart. I wanted to say, for those of you who don't know what Sylvia is talking about, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she showed some pornographic pictures of Hunter Biden on the Congress floor. And so this was pictures that was, Hunter Biden is not in the government right now. There is no reason to do that. And it also was pictures of her, of the woman too. So they want to know, to be clear, revenge porn is a form of cyber sexual harassment. So in some cases, it constitutes. So he could be sued. He could be sued, or they could. Marjorie Taylor Greene could be sued for revenge porn, because she put this out there without either of their permission. She put it out there on a forum where there could be young minors that are looking at it, that, that could be, they could get in trouble for that. I'm getting that, yes, I don't know if it'll be him or her. Let me see. Well, I'm getting they're talking about that right now. And how about the girl involved? And the girl involved too is has a suit against them. What she did, she thought she did something good. I got the Six of Wands in reverse. She thought she had a gotcha thing on them. There's not going to be any rewards for the Republicans on this. They look like fools. So they're not going to achieve this. They failed to achieve what they wanted to achieve. And I got the Justice card. So I feel like justice is coming. Money is going to be, and it could be her that decides to sue. And they're going to be successful. And yeah, they're it's something, it was very emotional. Very emotional. These people at the bottom of the deck, I got the Judgment in reverse. These people have a failure to learn. But yeah, I feel yes, they're going to be in trouble for doing this. I feel like they're looking into it now. How do you feel with the astrology or with your cards?
Well, you had me look up Joe Biden's chart while you did that. And so he actually just entered Saturn Mahadasha. So that's not the best, because that indicates, because Saturn is the karmic teacher and he forces us to pay back all of our past karma. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at his karmic report card to see, because that means that he's going to get hit with some stuff. Biden is. So let's see. I mean, he's lived a life that's okay. I did pull one card for the Biden presidency because you kind of asked about that. And I got that, I did get the Two of Wands, so that's good. He's planning for the future. He's making a lot of progress. He's going to make some good decisions. We're going to make a lot of discoveries under this presidency. But with that Saturnian energy, oh, hi, Jackie. With that Saturnian energy, it's going to put a lot of pressure on his moon, his emotional state, and on his body. So, I mean, he might make a lot more cognitive errors and kind of delays with this Saturnian energy, because it puts a lot of pressure on the mind. I've got Saturn going over my moon right now. It's like when you walk into a room and you forget something, because you're just like, you've got a million things that you're being put in responsibility for. So I get that he could win, and he's planning to win. Like, he plans on winning this. But this Saturnian energy is very difficult. And he has Saturn in Rohini, which creates a Bedica, which is like a piercing element. The story behind that is a king who prayed to the divine to save his people from a drought. And he managed to do it, but it was one of the hardest, how do I say this, times to be a king and to lead the people, because there were so many problems. So I got that. Yeah, it's the possibility that's definitely in his favor, especially because Trump is going to be entering Jupiter Ketu, and Ketu's headless. When Ketu went over his moon during the election, he lost, and he's going to be in that energy again.
On 2024?
It's actually, he enters it October of 2023 through 2025. So it's going to go on for a couple of years. So that's kind of what I got. And I'm going to look up this kind of Rohini energy that I'm seeing in his chart. It's a very specific yoga. It's a Bedica type of yoga, Beta. So Beta means piercing, and Saturn's transit through Rohini is not considered as good. It pierces the heart of Rohini, which is connected to growth and prosperity. Let's see. When Rohini is free of afflictions, crops grow well. When Saturn transits Rohini, crops can fail. Some consider this a transit especially negative. So yeah, King Dharaashtra's time, Saturn transited Rohini, and there was a great famine. King Dharaashtra could not bear the pain of his subjects, so he prayed endlessly to Saturn to relieve their suffering. This pacified Saturn, who changed his course and did not cross Rohini. So Saturn was in Taurus in Rohini Nakshatra and Cancer Pada when the terrorist planes crashed into the New York towers on September 11th. So Joe Biden has this in his chart, and it was just activated. It's negative. Okay. I really, really hate seeing this. I don't think that he is going to lose to Trump. I'm praying that he doesn't. But if he gets this job, it's going to put a ton of pressure on him. And the country is really going to go through an upheaval. I mean, regardless of who gets elected, the country's kind of headed for something. So, yeah.
Time to move. Pack my bags.
We're already getting our passports. Like we're just kind of waiting.
Bill
But
and I have said we're going to move if you know, I don't see it. I don't see him winning. I don't see it. But and neither does anybody else. But if he does, I think I need to have my passport
if he
ready.
wins, it's the end of our country. It's a tower moment. We become Trump Tower. Like and no one wants to live there. So it's
Right.
not good.
And you know what
Um,
is scary is I have so many people that are friends and family that are Trump supporters.
mhm.
But I think that it's based all on the fear. You know,
Yeah.
they watch the stations that, you know, the propaganda stations that say fear, be afraid, Joe Biden's evil, but they watch nothing else. He's convinced them that everything else is fake news, you know, and that's the only thing I can think of why anyone would support him. But even if I knew absolutely nothing and just heard him speak, I would know, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, so it just boggles my mind. And there are some people that are intelligent, you know. I know one's a pharmacist, people that are, you know, intelligent, you would think intelligent, educated people
Yeah.
that still are going to vote for him.
And it also comes down to greed. Because
Yes.
I mean, I grew up in a family where my father has Ketu right on his moon, and it's in his fourth house of mother. So he doesn't like women. He's very misogynistic. And long story, where was I going with this? I just entered Ketu Subdasha today, and so I'm feeling a little headless today. So that's what's going on. I went from Saturn Mercury, and now I'm in Saturn Ketu, and I was waiting for the shift last night. And so I'm up and I'm doing my mantras, and I'm like, oh God, Ketu's coming, because it's more of a demonic energy. Every time Ketu comes in my chart, I break it. It's like a limb. It's just like, or like a major accident happens or something. And so I'm just like, you
And
know,
you said it was in your husband's and in mine possible chart too.
well, actually, I'm talking about Ketu. What I'm talking about
Oh,
with
this
your
is
chart
different.
is Saturn is aspecting your moon and my husband's moon, and he's on my moon. So when I say aspecting, your moon is opposite my moon, and that makes we actually get along really well because of that, because we can see each other and understand each other from across
Mhm.
the zodiac. It's like if you had a circle, it would be like Libra and Aries, you know.
Okay.
Um, we can we can see each other. But anyways, what that also means is that Saturn can also see you. So Saturn's in Aquarius in the Vedic right now, and he's looking at Leo. And so when you were telling me you were having issues with your house, I was like, that's
Oh,
fourth house stuff. He's aspecting Leo. And I said, you've got to be Uttara Falguni, like that my husband is, because he's having the same thing with real estate in his chart too. So
oh, it's just been one thing after another, after another, after another. It's like, you know, you don't catch your breath from the first thing and it's something else. But, you know, this shall pass, I hope, soon. Do you
yeah.
know when you looked at your husband's chart when that does pass? Like,
Well,
tell me.
well, basically it depends on what degree you're in. So I'd have to pull up your chart and look again. Let me look really quick. But basically, it happened on my husband's birthday, the 2008 collapse. It happened on his birthday in 2008, and that was his Saturn return, and he was going over his moon. So it was just like a double whammy, and he lost everything. And so we have another one of those coming, and I think it's going to be. Well, actually, I wrote down when it's going to happen. Let's see if I
I'll be
can.
calling you going, how's your husband doing? Oh, not good? I'm staying in the house.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's the
And
thing
hey,
about
guys,
having signs like right across from each other is we just experience the karma in different ways. And so we can help each other out. So let me go here. I'm just going to run this. I'm just doing it's
yeah, I told
2020.
Michelle I was thinking of going on vacation and I was so nervous. I'm like, hi, should I go on vacation in August? Is it safe to leave my house?
Okay. I see this happening. Like the next financial collapse based on, what we've been studying
Mm-hmm.
is going to happen spring of like basically winter and spring of 2025. When I say winter, I mean like January, February, March, April. So that's kind of the window that we're going to have some kind of a collapse.
It's
So,
got to help your life to be able to know this stuff, to
oh,
be
it's
able
like having my Jyotish guru. She's the one who writes all like the books that I read. She's got like the lunar nodes, and she's got like the nakshatras. And oh, someone actually asked, I'm in like Rahu, blah, blah, blah. This is a really good book, guys. It goes into every single planetary dasha. So, like, let's say you're in Moon, Mercury, you can look, and if it's 2 months and 12 days, you can look up the energy of that time in your charts and then look at the sign and house it's in, and it tells you what's going to happen. Let me show you an example,
okay.
Deann. I just got done with Saturn, Mercury, and this is what it said was going to happen. And my husband basically said, no, that's not going to happen because you have moved away from your family, and my family would never do that. So it's a Saturn, Mercury, Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
There it is in black and white. Okay, right there for the audience to see. This will be a period of treachery. All that has been earned so far will be wasted on the enjoyment of worldly pleasures, or this is a time when a millionaire can become a pauper. The relatives and friends will deceive the native. He or she will not have any advanced imitation of their motto. By the time he comes to know their plans, it will be too late, and the native cannot do anything but bear the loss. The moment I entered that energy, what I told you before the show happened with the relatives.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's like if you have knowledge of this stuff and you are in the Vedic community with these resources, you can just and I told my husband it's coming and this is the date and let's just prepare for it. So we got our doctor's appointments done. We backed up all our electronics. We made sure all of our clients were, happy, good to go. Cleaned the house, took the dog to the vet. I mean, we did got the car inspected and taken care of. We did everything to prepare for this. And then it was just like a bomb went off. So like everything else was good and like organized and okay. So now we can deal with this emergency because I was like, it's coming. Oh, Chaley, your moon is in Tara Foguni. I married one of you. You guys are fabulous. So I love Leo and Virgo moons. They're so great.
Well, I thought you guys, I'm sorry. I really wanted to hear, I didn't get all the questions answered, but I'm gonna be having a show almost every day this week. So we'll get them answered if we didn't. Oh, you're showing the name of the book?
Yeah, someone was asking. So it's nakshatra. It also means constellation-based predictions, dasha predictions, and that's the name of the author. Okay, and then the second book is this one. And oh, there goes my thing here. This is the second one, and I got it at a half price book. Same author, and it's constellation-based predictions with remedial measures. So this provides the remedial measures that you can do to kind of like break up the negative energy from past lives and things like that that we're all dealing with. We're all dealing with that here. So
that sounds like something that'd be interesting to read. Would it be over my head? Is it over our heads, or is it easy to understand?
You'd have to understand Vedic astrology to get to this level, because you'd have to understand where the Vimshatari is. You'd have to know how to look it up on the software. You'd have to know the role of each planet. So this is more like you're already studying it. If you're looking for a really good beginner book, this is my
Vedic
baby book.
Astrology for Dummies.
Yes, and it's written by Camilla Sutton. But it's called something different. It's called Indian Astrology. It's got lots of pictures, right? You open it up, you can learn about your nakshatra. It's kind of like a book it's kind of like for kids, This is the one I would recommend.
That's what I need. Explain to me like a child, honestly.
There you go. And this was what I needed too when I first got started. So it's Indian Astrology by Camilla Sutton. And then you can move up from there to this book, The Nakshatras, which is excellent. That's also by Camilla Sutton. And then if you're further interested, this is another really good one. This is Dr. David Frawley. And he's got a lot of really great remedies in this book. It's called Astrology for Seers.
Okay.
And he goes into all the planets and remedies. And then, yeah, the other stuff is like a little bit more advanced. Like the Varshapal, this is the annual chart. And it goes, and this is by Dr. K.S. Chirac. He's an amazing author. He's also a surgeon. I mean, the guy's a genius. That's him on the back there. Anything by him is great. But the Varshapal is really good. I have his Essentials of Medical Astrology, which is excellent for like doing health readings and stuff, because the planets do control the different organs and systems in the body. And then we've got yogas and astrology. These are different yogas that we see. Like Donald Trump has the yoga of a thief. It's right there in his chart. So he can successfully do that. Comes at a cost, though. And then this is the class I'm taking right now from my teacher. It's personal panchanga, and it goes into the divisions of the moon and how they affect our personality and predictions that we can make based off of lunar timing, events, tithis, karanas, etc., career, all that. There's tons of stuff. So.
Oh, there you're back. Okay. We went off air there for just a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We froze up, both of us. You froze up, then I froze up. So what was the last thing you said?
Oh, yeah. So this is the class I'm taking right now. It's personal panchanga. It's the 5 sources of light. So it goes into the lunar cycles, the tithis, the karanas, that kind of stuff. And this is more of an advanced thing. But yeah, I've got tons. My library is insane, but it's so much fun. You can go into depth with Vedic astrology. You can, because like I told you, that Dasha Varga is another book that I have that my guru wrote. Oh, it's right here. And it goes into the 16 divisional charts, the major ones in Vedic astrology. Wow. And so, like, for instance, if you were to ask me about your kids, I would look at your progeny chart, your D7. If you were to ask me about your brothers and sisters, I'd look at your D3, which goes into your siblings. If you were to ask me about your career, I'd look at your D10, your Dasamsa chart, and that would tell me what was going on in your career. Like, for instance, I just looked at Joe Biden's career, and he's got Moon on Saturn in his career chart. And I looked at that and went, he is going to have a really, really stress-filled 4 years when he wins. It's just going to it's going to really, really drain him.
You just keep thinking every year, I think, 2016, it's 2020. Thank God it's 2020. It's going to be better. And then, thank God it's 20. I keep thinking, I'm glad that year's over. So I'll be ready. I'm ready for a good year. We all need a good year.
We do.
I feel like it's going to be just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to just tell everybody we're going to close questions right now because we've been on for a little longer than I planned, almost an hour and 17 minutes. So I got a little puppy, but I wanted to see if this one question, I don't know if you can answer this this is a member of mine, just this one more question before we go. Nancy Vasquez wanted to know, should I conceive during a full or a new moon? She's trying to have a baby. A full moon? Okay. I was wondering because sounds logical to me, full moon. So, okay. Well, there you go, Nancy. But how do people, if you guys have not guessed, this lady is amazing. She is so smart. Sounds like she has more information in her little finger than I do my whole body. So if you want to, do you do readings for people? Can they get a hold of you if they'd like to have a reading on anything? How do they reach you?
Astrologicaltarot.com. So, and I've got all my links there. So.
Okay, and I've got her link in my description box, you guys. And don't forget, you have a show. When is it? Is it Wednesday?
Every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Central, and 7 o'clock Eastern. And my handle on YouTube is, I think I've already put it in there once, is Astrological Tarot. So if you just go to Astrological Tarot, that's my handle on YouTube. So.
Okay, and do you have any shows coming up that they can see you on here coming up?
Yeah, actually, well, I have my birthday show next week. I'm going to be on with Tanis because we're born a day apart. I'm the 27th, she's the 28th. And so we're going to be doing readings. That'll be a lot of fun. And then, we have you on August 2nd. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's right. I get to go on your station. Oh, don't ask me anything about astrology.
Oh, we're just going to be doing card readings. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That'll be fun. Yes.
Yeah, and Shaylee, it's I think I have a new fan. Yay! All right, she really knows a lot about Shaylee. Where I don't know if you're male or female, but this person knows a lot about astrology. Yeah, the questions are off the hook.
Well, I enjoyed having you on, and I still, my brain hurts. There's so much information you have in that head of yours,
Well, it's, we didn't even scratch the surface. We didn't talk about the Ashtavarka, so Sarvashtavarka. We didn't go into the other charts. There is so much that goes into this. It's really intense. So
I'll have to look back at my video and get that book that you had mentioned. Like I said, I need Astrology for Dummies because I'm learning about this, but it's so interesting and it's amazing the stuff that you can find out through astrology. It's no wonder that kings wanted astrologers before they went to war, and people looked at astrology before they planted certain, their farms. And, I can see now why,
Well, it's a master's and a PhD program in India because, like, if you get married, if you start a new career, if you have a child, you go to a Vedic astrologer. It's the same as biology and chemistry in that
Wow.
country. Here, it's kind of just it's for some reason, and I think the church has a lot to do with this. It's just kind of been turned into this bubblegum wrapper thing. It's not taken as seriously in the West as it is in the East.
Oh, yeah, because they'll
So,
say, if you're a Scorpio, all the Scorpios in the world, this is what's going to happen today. And it's about
yeah.
this big. And that's what I always, thought about astrology. I didn't realize how in depth it is. And then
Mhm.
especially Vedic astrology, that's something totally new that I'd never heard of. So, yeah, you guys go to her channel, book a reading with her, subscribe to her channel, go visit her on Wednesday if you want to get some of these questions, astrology questions answered. She's amazing. And I hope you will hit thumbs up and subscribe to mine too. I did get my 3,000 subscribers when I was on with Linda G. So all you newest subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. All you old subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here for me. And I do want to tell you tomorrow I am having another astrologer on, but she does a little bit different. She's a Western astrologer and she does intuitive. It uses intuition as well. It's Valerie from Illumination Portal. So I get back-to-back astrologers. So if you didn't get a question answered and you want to come back tomorrow, you can. That's going to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central. And then let's see here. Monday. I'm excited about Monday. Do you know David Johnson? He does channeling and he does past life regression hypnosis.
Mm. Is
He
that
is
kind of like
going to
Edgar Casey?
I don't know who Edgar Casey is, but
Oh.
he channels and you can look, it's David Johnson and he's on with Lena. He's from Australia and it's going to be 10 o'clock in the morning, his time, and 7:30 p.m. my time. I'm going to do a pre-recorded interview with him and I'm going to do it at 7:30 p.m. and then it'd probably be for about an hour. So probably about 9 o'clock, I'll get it posted. And I'll have that out there for you guys. And then let me see, and then the 25th, Tuesday, I am going to have my friend PD Connects on. She's a psychic medium, and we're going to be doing a celebration show for my 3,000 subscribers. And I'm going to be doing a drawing on that show for 3 half-hour personal readings, if anybody wants to come to that. Let's see. Wednesday, I'm going to do a political show. I've got in the community page for you to post your questions. Anybody on here who didn't get your political questions answered, as long as they're not astrology, save that for the astrologists, but post your questions on there, and I'm going to read on those, do a reading for you there. Thursday, I've got Debbie Freebird on my channel at 2 p.m. And then Friday the 28th, I've got Cheryl Marlene. She's a crystal tarot reader. So I am going to be busy, busy, busy all next week. So, which is good. It's good busy, So anyway, thank you guys for coming. Go to Michelle's channel. Don't miss out. Get a reading with her. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Thank you for coming on, Michelle. I appreciate it so much. Bye, everybody.